If you don't know me, my name's Thought Taken, and I owned a BMW S1000RR going into last season, and I lost a ton of money on that motorcycle. So allow me to explain to you today why you should probably think before spending this much money on a sport bike.
Cold start, babe, on the 2024 BMW S1000RR. Stock exhaust, I'm sorry. I should probably preface this video by saying, if you haven't been keeping up with what I do, this is not my BMW S1000RR. This was loaned to me by a very generous subscriber who is letting me ride his bike while I'm out visiting here in SoCal. I don't live here, I know it looks beautiful, the view is freaking awesome, but nah, this is just an Airbnb for the time I'm staying here. But riding this BMW around has given me new introspective on how I feel about BMW S1000RRs. This is going to be a little bit of a hot take here, but the BMW S1000RR might be one of the better motorcycles I've ridden in my life. Do I still think I'm going to buy one? We're going to get into that because the conclusion of the video is probably going to be pretty interesting here. Yeah, baby, let's go. Looks like the roads have dried up a little bit though, so we can actually push things quite decently for what this bike can do. Woo! Okay, we just got on this thing, so tires are going to be a little bit cold, but whoa! The road's probably still a little bit cold from last night too. Oh! Yeah, alright, this corner always messes me up because the bumps. Yeah, there's a big bump right there. On the Supermoto, it would matter a little bit less, but... Alright, come on, keep it tucked. Keep that enter speed. Oh, I felt the rear slide out a little bit. That was fun. This thing's got great slide control though, so... That's the benefit of having this technology and keeping it on. Woo! That felt amazing. Yeah, so this is one of the benefits of owning a bike like this. This is the call of the 1000cc bike. This is what I've been talking about on my short form content pages, my TikToks, my Instagrams. The call of the 1000cc bike is so strong in my life. I belong on a bike like this. It's just what it is. Dude, come on, truck. You can't cut. You crossed in the double yellow, bro. Mark my words, I'm going to buy another 1000cc motorcycle. I still own the H2, and it's technically a 1000. To me, that's not a real 1000cc motorcycle. It's just not. That thing is too powerful. You can't ride it like this. Like the way I'm pushing a little bit of limits here. Despite the fact these are public roads, you know, we're having a little bit of fun. You can't do that on the H2, bro. It's just too powerful. It's too heavy. It's too powerful. It's more of that bike has its own riding style that just can't match this bike. This bike is too high performance. So I'm very quickly realizing while I'm riding this bike, I miss 1000cc bikes. And I'm like, oh crap, the BMW, to be quite honest with you, is one of the better ones. What is this? What's going on here? You know, wooden plank, a giant thing of plywood. All right, bro, that's a weird mission to have, but you know, I'm all for it. So the BMW is a great 1000cc bike, more or less because it's one of the more reasonable ones. It makes some of the highest horsepower in the class. I can cruise, I can just hop on cruise control, and all of a sudden I'm just vibing, I'm chilling, bro. This bike can go all the way down to 8 miles an hour, and it's totally fine. It's cool. I immediately got a car behind me as soon as I did that. You guys get the point. When you slow down on this thing, you can absolutely just do like regular school zone speed on this bike. It is one of the best 1000cc bikes at low speed city stuff.
So I know you're thinking, up until this point, I've had really nothing but good things to say about the BMW. It's an objectively good looking motorcycle that's easy to ride around the city and very easy to ride hard since it's a sport bike. A very well built sport bike at that. Well, here's the reason I sold mine. Well, a big factor of why I sold mine actually was because it wasn't built well. From the day I bought my BMW, I was having constant little gremlins here and there throughout the ownership experience. From day one, my fork was leaking from the top of the fork. This gas flap became loose. I noticed the paint quality was horrific on my black BMW from day one. Not to mention, the quick shifter was constantly messing up, which is an issue that still was never resolved on that bike even after I sold it. And in the middle of our riding season in Ohio, my water pump blew up on my BMW. Coolant was pouring out of the bottom. And when I took it into the BMW dealership to get fixed, it took them a month and a half, 42 days to fix my BMW. Not to be fair, my S1k was heavily modified, had a full exhaust, Brent tune, everything. But after riding this bike stock, I can tell you that I would not ride one of these bikes without a tune and an exhaust anywhere. There's a pretty massive dead spot between 2,000 and 8,000 RPMs in the lower gears, and so it's basically impossible to get the wheel up on these stock. unless you're probably an expert, which I'm not. With the tune, this bike is incredibly easy to wheelie, and I love the wheelies on this bike, and that's really what I miss most about owning one of these bikes, was the wheelies. But riding this bike in stock form has basically made that impossible. But realize if you do modify these bikes, it does make warranty claims and the warranty dealer experience much more difficult. If you have a tune on your BMW S1000RR, these are highly technological bikes, and it records every time that you flash the ECU. And so if you flash the bike, like as in putting a tune on the motorcycle and then take it into a dealership to get something fixed, they're gonna be able to see that you flashed the bike and have a tune on it, which in most cases might actually deny your warranty. And if you're gonna be spending this much money on a bike that has a warranty, you most likely don't want to have that warranty just completely nullified. Which, to be honest with you, I completely understand, and is a big reason of why I sold my BMW. Since I was having so many little problems here and there, I just decided that the ownership experience wasn't worth it anymore. I like to ride my bikes more than I do working on them, so I don't want to have a bike that's just sitting the entire summer collecting dust because it's not working properly. I would much rather have a bike that may not be as good, but I can put thousands and thousands of miles on. Which is why I love bikes like my MT-07 that I own back home, even though the performance on that bike could nowhere near hold a candle to this bike, or even take my Ducati Supermoto, for example. Like, bikes like those, I can put thousands and thousands of miles on them and nothing's gonna happen. Meanwhile, a bike like this needs way more maintenance. The chain has tighter clearances, the valves need checked every 15,000 miles. Because this bike can do 200 miles an hour, you need to make sure everything is within spec and perfect. Meanwhile, my slower bikes, you don't need to do all that because they don't go that fast. And on top of that, with everything that was breaking on my BMW, it was just never in a fully functional state. And when it was, it wouldn't last that long. And so yeah, I highly respect these bikes, and they're lovely bikes, but man, I feel like I could never ride it perfectly. I mean, since we're on the topic of liter bikes, I thought I'd come check out this R1 that this dealership just had sitting here. This one has a markup of $1,200 and comes out to $20,284 before tax. So some of you may know I owned a 2018 R1 not too long ago. Unfortunately, I wasn't too heavy on making full form YouTube content at the time, so a lot of my impressions didn't really get captured of that bike in the moment of when I owned it. Now, I have gone back and forth on buying another one of these bikes for the longest time, and for good reason. A lot of people like to call the R1 like one of the more uncomfortable liter bikes, but to me, this actually ends up being one of the more comfortable liter bikes I ever owned. So for reference, I'm 180 pounds and I'm 6'1". For some reason, I fit on this bike very well, and they end up being quite comfortable for me, which is why I've always liked these bikes. It has a little bit of that race elements to it. A lot of people like to call it like the uncomfortable bike, but the fact that it's very comfortable for me makes it very entertaining. In comparison to the BMW S1000, the R1 to me has much better paint quality and holds up better over time. My R1 had 6,000 miles when I sold it, and I swear I still could not find a single scratch on it when I sold it. Over there is a Yamaha VMAX, which is basically a Diavel V4 before Ducati started making the Diavel. We didn't get kicked out, we were just we were past closing, and so the salesman kindly asked if I could wrap up and, you know, so he could go home to his family. Oops, I kind of forgot it's a holiday. I just when I'm out here by myself, you kind of forget these things.
I am filming this on New Year's, which I've been filming for YouTube pretty much every single day while I've been here in California. I thought about doing like a 2024 wrap-up video. It's something I've been seeing a lot of other creators doing. Like, I know Jigsaw did it, and it seems like really cool and really wholesome, but I just feel like I didn't have a very good year. Like, yes, I moved out of my parents' house this year. We bought a lot of cool bikes. We got like the H2, we bought the V4 earlier in the year, but I also just spent a lot of this year just like low-key miserable for no fucking reason. I dated a lot of miserable people, and that drug me down a little bit. Crashed a freaking motorcycle. I witnessed another crash. I witnessed a lot of crashes, actually, and I don't know, it just felt like such a negative year. Yeah, overall, like, we're coming out of it, majority net positive. I have an amazing partner now. I'm much happier now than I was entering the year. It's hard to appreciate this year right now because of everything that's happened. So, I don't know, maybe in hindsight, we'll give it like another year or so. Maybe we'll look fondly back on 2024. It's just for right now, I have a hard time wanting or desire to finding the desire to make a 2024 wrap-up video. I don't know. If you want to see my highlights from 2024, I just implore you to, you know, look back, check out my older videos, and maybe you'll find something that you like. Oh yeah. Now, despite everything I've said in this video, would I buy another BMW S1000RR? My answer might surprise you a little bit. I would consider buying another S1000, but there are a few things stopping me. So one of the things I like about Ducati and their Panigale V4 however, is when you buy a Panigale V4, Ducati offers a factory exhaust with a factory tune that you can then install on the bike. Yes, it costs a little bit more than a traditional exhaust and tune, but what it does is they guarantee that they'll cover the warranty no matter what happens. If you get the exhaust and tune put on the bike from Ducati, installed by a dealer, let's say there's a coolant leak or like something happens to the bike, transmission goes out, Ducati will cover that without a doubt. No questions asked. Meanwhile, with the BMW, if I were to go out and get an exhaust and a tune put on one of these bikes, there's a little bit up in the air if BMW would actually cover that. And I know a lot of people that have had things not covered by BMW because of that reason. And like I said, if I were to buy another one of these bikes, I would not want to keep it stock. I think that these bikes just want a tune, and that's just what it is. You're going to have to get a tune when you get one of these bikes. But that's the risk that you run with getting an exhaust and tune on a BMW, is BMW may not cover your bike under warranty, and things are going to break on these things. So yes, it's a lovely bike to ride. I think that these are phenomenal motorcycles. There's a reason that a lot of people geek over these bikes. They are genuinely great bikes, but that's the main thing holding me back from getting another one. The fact that not only things break all the time, but if you're going to go through the due diligence of modding these correctly, which I always do on all of my motorcycles, you do run the risk of not being able to have things covered under warranty. And when things are even covered under warranty, they're going to take forever to get fixed. So BMW needs to fix their dealer network and hold their dealers to a higher standard and come up with some sort of factory tune solution that doesn't have that giant dead spot in the middle. Then I would absolutely consider buying another one of these bikes. But until then, these two reasons are one of the biggest reasons why I don't want to buy another one of these bikes. So if the S1000RR was one of your dream bikes, I really hope that this video helped with your idea of a purchase in the future. And even if you still do decide to go out and buy an S1000, I just hope that now you are educated and know fully what you're getting yourself into before buying one of these bikes. Because once you buy one of these bikes, the looks of this bike are eventually going to wear off. You're going to get tired of it. And all of the flaws and little things that you didn't notice when you first bought the bike are going to become a lot noticeable a year from ownership. With all that being said, now you know better. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'm probably going to call it here.
I'm getting a lot of calls from these people. They're scared of me right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How so?
I don't know. They just call me and said there was a suspicious person out here taking pictures and this and that.
You're calling me a suspicious person?
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, it's like stock exhaust and everything too. I'm like, I'm not making any noise. I don't understand why they would call me suspicious, but
All right.
yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause any disturbances.
Yeah.
I'm like, my bad.
Yeah.
Promise you, I'm like, I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm like being quiet
I
and
just come out here and do my job.
Yeah.
Make sure you're not up to nothing crazy.
yeah, no, nothing. I wouldn't try to do that.
Yeah. You know, seeing as live here. So
Yeah, no, I can get out of here. So.
appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. That's fucking weird.
A good reason not to move out to California is old people are freaking rude, bro. It's the same problem that I experienced in Florida as well. You have all these people with way too much money. I just came out to the spot to grab some photos after riding this bike around, and this lady walks out on the phone just giving me weird looks and talking shit the entire time. I didn't think anything necessarily of it. I was just, mind my own business. I'm riding this bike. It has a complete stock exhaust, by the way. Now, I'm not the type of person to make a lot of noise. I'm one to mind my own business, not try to bother anybody. I have the interest in not bothering anybody. And yet, I still get somebody coming out and telling me I'm a suspicious person. Meanwhile, camera on my face, camera on the bike, I'm holding a camera. Like, dude, obviously I'm not going to try to film myself being a nuisance. I can't even, come to a public area and just chill for a second without some old person just being like, oh, you're a nuisance just by existing. God, bro. Fucking just people make me so annoyed.